are approximately 2 million military children in the U.S., ranging in ages from newborn to 18 years. 1.3 million of those military children are school-aged. With the U.S. Naval Academy right in our backyard, this is especially relevant for many of us in Anne Arundel County. In fact, April commemorates the month of the military child. Get involved by wearing purple as part of the Purple Up initiative for military families. It's an easy way for our youth to see support in their own schools, youth groups, and community. Purple was chosen because it's actually the color that symbolizes all branches of the military, a combination of Army green, Marine red, and Coast Guard, Air Force, and Navy blue. Check with your school to see if there is a Purple Up Day planned or initiate one yourself. What specific issues do military children face? How would you help your student deal with the relocation of a friend? Or how can you help military families in our area? We spoke with Carol Chobany, a school liaison officer for Naval Support Activities, to discuss. Hi, Ms. Chobany. Thank you so much for being here today. So your official title is School Liaison Officer, Naval Support Activity, Annapolis. That is a mouthful. Can you tell us a little bit about what your office does?
Absolutely, absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for having me here this morning. As a school liaison officer, I work with military families who have school-aged children, and they are moving frequently from one place to another. So my job in a nutshell is to make sure that that transition for those students and the schools that they attend is as smooth as possible. I happen to work here in Annapolis with Naval Support Activity Annapolis and the Naval Academy, but I also have a colleague at Fort Meade who works with military families there.
Great, great. And how many families are we talking about in our area? Obviously, we've got the Naval Academy here in Anne Arundel County. Do we have a large percentage of naval families compared to different counties in the area?
I would not say large compared to some, though. Our base here is fairly significant, but we also have some additional Navy bases around Maryland, as well as Fort Meade, Aberdeen, also with the Army. We have about 6,000-ish numbers of school-aged children, ages 6 to 18, in Anne Arundel County. Not all of those children are in our public schools. Some are homeschooled, some are in private schools, but no matter what, that's a pretty significant number of military-connected kids in our area.
Exactly. And your background, before you took this job, you were saying you were a teacher and a principal, so you spent most of your career in education, I would imagine.
And absolutely. I was sort of on the other side of what I'm doing right now, where I would get a military-connected family, and they would come into my school in the middle of November, and I'd be sort of scratching my head saying, why are you moving in the middle of November? Now that I'm on this side, I understand when they have to move, they have to move. So that really does speak to our mission to make sure that any family who makes that move has a smooth transition, that the school is ready for them, that they are welcoming to them, that they're able to communicate easily with that family, as well as make that child feel connected as quickly as possible, because the research that's out there really does show that when a child, any child, military child or not, feels that connectedness to their new school, that's a good predictor of success.
Great. And you talk about the moves. What are some of the specific challenges that military families and especially school-aged children are facing? Things like relocation and deployment, obviously.
Well, if you could sort of imagine being the new kid in school over and over and over again. Our military families move on the average 2 to 3 years, so any child can go between 6 and 9 schools by the time they graduate high school. That's really pretty dramatic when you think about it. That whole idea of having to leave where you are, leave those friendships behind, leave your academic program behind. Maybe it was something that you were really successful in, something that you really loved, and here you are moving again, middle of the school year, maybe moving as a senior in high school. Those are all challenges that these kids face year after year, being the new kid, making that move, and I think it speaks so clearly to how very resilient they are. They are some of the kids that are in these families. We have a little saying in our world that kids serve too, and I think it's very, very true. We often talk about parents. We, celebrate Veterans Day and Memorial Day, and we're thanking our veterans for their service, and we want to thank our military-connected kids too, because they really serve also alongside their families.
Well, and I phrased it as challenges, but we should also probably say that there, you know, potentially are some good benefits to these families and these children also. Well, learning resilience, learning how to make new friends and be open to new experiences that can then, you know, travel with you as you go throughout your life. Do you see some of that as well?
Absolutely, and I think any school that is lucky to have a military-connected kid, and actually it's very interesting that there are military-connected kids in every zip code in our country. That's really pretty stunning, and I think if that sinks in, it kind of makes it feel like, yep, they're here, they're ours. We want to make sure that we are working with them in the best way that we can. But indeed, if you're a student and you're coming from Italy, you've been in Naples for the last 2 or 3 years, you come to school here in Anne Arundel County, you have experiences, you have stories about places that you've seen, areas of the world that you have visited, languages that you may have learned, food, culture, music, all of that I think would be just wonderful to highlight.
For sure. And you talk about support. April, from what I understand, is the month of the military child. What is the purpose and the mission of having that month?
Well, Month of the Military Child actually started back in the 1980s, 1986. Then Secretary of Defense Caspar Weinberger thought it would be a great idea to just really have a month set aside to acknowledge and honor these military kids. So that's how it got started. We've evolved over the years. We now do things like we have a Purple Up Day, which is just sort of meant to be a fun celebration, wearing purple in recognition of our military kids. Usually that day is on April 15th, but this year it's a Saturday, so we're going to be doing it on April the 21st. I know some of our schools in Anne Arundel County have taken up.
Our school did it last year.
That's awesome. Awesome. So the more can do it, the better.
And what exactly do you do on Purple Up Day? You're supposed to wear the color purple to school or in your community, adults, children alike, to show our support, correct, for the military children and the military families.
Yep, exactly.
What would someone do if their school did not have its own Purple Up initiative? Could they start it in their school?
Absolutely. It's a very grassroots kind of thing. You can do it small one year, you can build on it every year from then. Fun to take pictures of kids wearing purple. Fun to have a wall of heroes, where the kids are the heroes. Let the kids be telling their story. I've seen schools that have done a world time zone because if you're in Italy or Japan or Europe, you're in a different time zone, and it's kind of fun to mark where these kids have been, where their families have been, where the family has been stationed. Any of those kinds of activities, a breakfast for military parents sometime during April.
That's nice. Things that the PTA can take up. And I know last year one of the things we did, we used our school PTA newsletter to just send out a blurb about wearing purple on that particular day.
Many schools have little studios in their schools where they do morning announcements. Make that the morning announcement. Put it on the marquee in front of your school, celebrating Month of the Military Child. Our Board of Education is recognizing the Month of the Military Child on its April 5th meeting. So that's something that the board does do. On our installations, we have activities for our children and our families, either in our youth centers or in our child development centers. We annually get a declaration from the governor, a proclamation for Month of the Military Child. So almost every year is a brand new year to start with a new idea and just build.
Great, great. And I see you brought some books with you too for kids that might be going through, and I think this is important for military families as well as civilian families, but kids who may be in military families going through things like deployment or relocation, or if you're a civilian parent and your child has a friend in school that may be acting differently and they're not really sure how to approach that. I see you've brought some books with you.
I did. I brought a few things with me. What I try to do is when I know that a family is experiencing a deployment, I connect with the school, and then the school sometimes will put what I call a little seed bag or a little school resource corner. And these are just some of the things that are available to our schools as well as our families. There's a lot of nice literature nowadays. This one's My Dad is a Hero, Lily Hates Goodbyes, Night Catch, which is a lovely story that can be done anywhere the family member is around the world.
That's nice.
And then we've got some activities and resources, particularly for deployment. This has a calendar inside where the family can keep track of when mom or dad is coming back. And we do have as many moms who are the active duty member as well as dual active duty member family. So sometimes these kinds of resources are very helpful because the child might be staying with a grandparent or an aunt and uncle or a family friend that has, agreed to keep to be in charge of the child while the military member is away.
So if you were a military family in our county and or a civilian family who was having a child that had a friend that was going through this, would they be able to contact your office to get some of these resources?
Absolutely,
okay.
Absolutely. These are available. I can give them the resources, literally give them the resources, or point them in the direction if it's something they would like to sort of create their own little library in their home or in their school. I'm happy to do that.
Okay. Or a school would be able to contact you directly, for example, a reading teacher at one of our elementary, middle, or high schools, or the librarian.
Absolutely.
Maybe to get some of these copies that the kids could have in the school library to then check out.
Okay. It really is a two-way street. There are some things that the Navy and the Army have on our bases and on our installations that we can provide to the school system in terms of connecting our parents with some counseling resources. Let's say a family is experiencing a deployment. In fact, in the Navy, we actually have a little group that we have parent support, and then I work with the children. So we have like parent and children support for families who are experiencing deployment. That's the kind of thing that we love to share with the schools because it really needs to be a wraparound kind of service. It's not just affecting the child in home, it's affecting the child in the school setting also.
Yeah.
So happy to share all of those
and
resources.
good to know for parents and teachers that in addition to the on-site resources that they may have through a guidance counselor, you have a whole office that specializes in the issues that the military families and children are facing, that school guidance counselor may be able to reach out and get some additional support.
Absolutely.
And how would they get in contact with your office?
There is, literally, you could Google School Liaison Officer.
Okay.
But we also have a website, which is Navy MWR Annapolis. You can go onto that website, get in touch with me, call my office. Again, you can get the information on that website. I'm happy to respond.
Okay, great. And wear purple.
And wear purple, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. As a community, are there any tips that you feel can help us be more supportive? And especially, as a mom, I understand for some of those military moms who may have a husband deployed, how can we reach out on a peer-to-peer level too, in terms of making them feel like they're supported as adults and not just what we're doing in schools for the kids? Do you have any tips for?
I think it's a great question. I think it really comes down to communicating with those families and then back to that idea of connectedness. If you know in your school that you've got some military families, perhaps again through your PTA, reach out and make sure that they have a parent buddy when a new family comes in and they're military. That would be an awesome first step. The same with our children. We've actually had some of our high schools in Anne Arundel County trained in some programs where they have learned how to reach out not only to military kids but to any new kid who's coming into the school. So making that connection, making them feel welcome. When you feel welcome somewhere, you're more likely to open up about some struggles that you're having and reach out for help. So I think that's a very important first step. Second, I think there's just a lot of very low-key, person-to-person kinds of things that can go on, whether it's a lunch bunch at school for those military-connected kids,
idea,
having a special parent day where parents get to come in and talk perhaps to the faculty about what it's like to be in a mobile military lifestyle, what a military lifestyle is like. It is different, and our military still is less than 1% of our population, so a lot of people don't even know someone who's in the military. So just that whole communicating and connecting piece, I think, will go a long, long way.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here. And again, what is the day to wear purple? April 21st?
April the 21st.
Great.
Purple up.
Great. Well, thank you. It was great to have you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I'm Kathy Schaefer, and this was Parents Corner. Like our Facebook page to stay up to date on show topics. Thanks for watching. And remember to wear your purple on April 21st.